welcome to this week's episode of Honey Badger Radio. Today's topic is Anita Sarkeesian and the Scourge of the Girl Gamer. For those of you who've been living under a rock, Anita is a feminist girl gamer who created a Kickstarter campaign to fund videos of her feminist analysis of popular gaming tropes. Allegedly, Anita trolled 4chan boards, opening the usually closed comments on her YouTube channel and let the bile flow through. She then used it to weave a threat narrative about an online community hostile to the fragile, delicate girl gamer that has since come to capture the mainstream imagination, as most stories of damsels in distress do. The kicker is that Anita has set her feminist sights on the very trope she exploited to fund her series. Yep, our princess with a P doesn't like the damsel in distress trope, at least when it's being used to make money for people other than herself. Now, usually Anita wouldn't really be a topic for us at Honey Badger Radio, but recently Anita was featured in an ABC article, and instead of implicating 4chan or the general internet trollery that everyone has to live with, ABC implicated us. That is me, Allison Tiemann, my co-hosts Karen Strawn and Della Burton and Diana Davidson, along with most of you listening, and Polly Lamb, John the Other, and the rest of the Voice for Men team, and everyone else in the men's rights community. We are, according to ABC's fiat, to blame for Anita's harassment. This episode is going to be a bit different. After the first hour of our discussion, we're turning the show over to you, our listeners. If you have something to say, please call in. The number is 310-388-9709. That's 1-310-388-9709. Now let's get the show rolling. Red Rover, let Karen come over. Karen, give us a rundown of how women like Anita barge into male spaces, or mostly male spaces, and decide that they get to run the joint.
Well, women don't actually barge into every male space. They only barge into male spaces that are seen to have status socially. And so if you sort of look at the general female attitude of toward gamers, toward nerd culture, all of that, up until about maybe 5 years ago, regular women who were not also nerds, who did not also sort of relate to the culture and to all of the ideals, they were like, what a bunch of losers, right? But now that it has been acquiring status, and this is the case in skepticism, this is the case in comic books, this is the case in tech, this is the case in gaming, right? All of these fields have acquired a certain amount of social status, a certain amount of, usually based on economic generation, right? Like they're worth some money, right? So now they have social status, and now women want to get in there. They want to get in on the, and I think that probably when women, not feminists, but women go in, they either adapt or they leave, right? Just a regular woman. She adapts or she leaves, or she relates to what's going on there. What happens when feminists enter into the space, especially, is that they say, all of these women left because you guys were douchebags, right? These women who left, they didn't leave because they didn't relate to the community that you've built. They left because you hounded them out and you were horrible people and you were horribly sexist and you pushed them out. And then they'd start demanding, as in every other sphere, that the space conform to women's sensibilities. That's really the way it always works. It's the way it's worked in every single sphere.
Yeah, even in coffee shops in the 1700s.
Mm-hmm. That's the most amazing thing, is that even in the 1670s, women were trying to dictate that men shouldn't be allowed to congregate without women to temper them, right? Women shouldn't be allowed to congregate amongst each other without women to decide what's best for men and there to police their behavior, right? So,
yeah, it seems to be an ongoing problem that men just can't have a space that women don't come in and start saying, well, I just don't like the curtains. I just don't like the carpets. I don't like the rough language. I don't like this. I don't like that.
There's not flowers. There's not enough flowers.
There's not enough games where you don't tear the head off of your enemy. Yeah, but if you make those games, I may not buy them anyway.
Yeah.
But Dallas has a different perspective on this as well. She is a gamer who happens to be a woman, as distinct from a girl gamer. And as a woman who's been part of these more, I guess, socially ostracized communities, she's experienced women coming in and trying to change it. So why don't you tell us a bit more about that, Della?
Well, I'm a long-time tabletop RPG gamer. Like I've played Dungeons and Dragons since I was a 13-year-old. Played a bunch of other games: Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, First Edition Paranoia, Call of Cthulhu, just bunches of different, tabletop games. And I've played video games when I was younger and had more time. I don't really get to do that anymore because too many responsibilities. But when I first started playing, there weren't a lot of girls involved. It wasn't like, half of my gaming group was girls and half was guys like it is now. I was the only girl in my first group. I was the only girl in my second group. I was the only girl in my third group. I was in college before I came across another gamer who was female. And it never really occurred to me to make any of it about the fact that I'm female. It was never, I'm a girl gamer. It was just, I'm a gamer. And it wasn't even important that I was female. It was important that I was having fun. And the people around me were having fun. And we were enjoying each other's intellect, and we were enjoying, the storyline of the game, things like that. And, even with video games, my first gaming system was an Atari 2600. I was Queen of Pac-Man in my neighborhood. It wasn't because I was a girl. There weren't, there was no discussion about this. This was not important. And later on, as it sort of became fashionable to be nerdy, and you could sort of tell when it happened when girls started wearing glasses they didn't need to make them look smarter. And this was always kind of a surprise to me because I always get made fun of for my glasses. I have this, I don't like to see my glasses frames, so I have the biggest glasses I can get, and I always get told, oh, those don't look good on you, don't buy those, and I get them anyway, so I have these big nerdy glasses. And so I look around, and the people that made fun of me for wearing big nerdy glasses are wearing big nerdy glasses to look nerdy because it's cool. This was confusing. What was even more confusing about it was these new people started telling me what it meant to be a nerd. And I was the president of the photo club in my high school. I was on the yearbook staff. My letter jacket actually had nerdy stuff on the back of it. It actually mentioned the yearbook staff and the photo club. Not that I was the star of some athletic thing or anything like that. And so being told what it means to be a nerd was kind of weird. And then in the gaming groups, I started hearing from them, oh, this is too violent, or we're not role playing enough. We're doing too much hack and slash, and the language is bothering me, and you can't talk to me like that. And the biggest one was the shit talk. Is if you're playing some games like Paranoia is one of those games where you're supposed to kill off your party members too. You have, each person has their own storyline inside the context of the bigger storyline, and sometimes your storyline puts you at odds with the other characters. And as soon as you start killing each other's characters off, some of these newer girls would get really offended and storm out of the game, and they couldn't enjoy it because of that. And it was just, I started realizing that, and they were the ones that were calling themselves girl gamers. And I started realizing that was kind of how you could identify the feminist or the me person who was going to come in and ask everything to change. That you can't talk about girls while you're gaming. You can't be the guy that says, if there's any girls in the bar or in the tavern, I want to do them, like the dead AOI sketch if anybody's familiar with it. And if you're not, you should look it up. It's hilarious. So, I don't know. I guess my big point on, quote, girl gamers, unquote, is that by identifying themselves just as girls and not really as gamers, and by coming in and sort of dictating, well, you can't play this way, you can't talk this way, you can't be this way, it's like they're spoiled princesses that are expecting to come in and walk a path they didn't forge and
just get the goodies from it, right?
Well, have a place they didn't earn.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, they're looking at that place, the place that they've looked at from the outside and said, well, this is prestigious. This is great. This is something that I want to be a part of. And as soon as they get to be a part of it, they don't want it to be what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing is that they're usually, in some cases, I mean, some of these communities are all male, but a lot of these communities already have women in it who are part of the community and like the community for what it is.
Yeah.
And then they have other women coming in and saying, no, we got to change everything. And we have to do it because vagina, feminism, misogyny, you know? Like,
oh, yeah.
And they take away what made that community interesting to the women who were part of it.
Oh, and you get treated like a special snowflake for putting up with it, and it's considered putting up. It never occurs to them that it's part of the fun.
Yeah.
That shit talk is part of the fun. That listening to just being one of the guys is part of the fun.
That's usually, like, literally, I go to work every day. I probably issue 100 threats of I am going to punch you so hard, right in the, whatever, the boob, the penis, whatever, right? My pregnant boss, I'm going to punch you so hard. I said to her, she, cradles her belly, and I said, I wouldn't punch you in the baby. I'd punch you in the glasses.
There you go.
Like,
by the way, speaking of nerdism, I have had tape on my glasses, multiple times.
It's a thing where you can just not have to care as much about things. It's like glass, right?
Seriously, nobody gets offended. Everybody thinks it's hilarious, right? Everybody thinks it's funny, and there's all kinds of things going on.
The space that they're taking away from the women who want it, right?
Yeah,
they're trying to make everything padded and safe.
And I didn't just see this in gaming. I mean, I'm also a journalist. I was a photographer for my local newspaper in my original hometown for over a decade. And it wasn't a big thing. It was, small-time stuff. I did high school sports and stuff like that. But it was the same situation when I first started. I would be the only girl on the field or the only girl on the sidelines, whether I was in a gymnasium or whether I was on a football field. There weren't always a bunch of girls out there. If there were, they were the trainers, and they weren't anywhere near the photographers. And when other women started showing up in that environment, they started warning me about the men that I'd been palling around with for more than 5 years, many of whom were friends with my dad. And these were professional associates. And it was largely because they were not pretty, really. They weren't, dolled up like guys are when they go into an office, or women are when they go into an office. They were dressed for their job. Yeah. And they were functional. And they didn't have to go in there, they didn't have to be clean-shaven. You don't have to be clean-shaven to stand on the sidelines of the football game and take pictures. You have to be dressed so that you can get out of the way if the football players come running in your direction. Because, believe me, it hurts to get tackled when you're not wearing any padding, especially by accident.
Yeah.
That is a good point, because these women come in and they start dictating the rules, and they start saying to the women who've been there and who, these are our friends. These guys are our friends. We've bonded over our weird, nerdy interests. And then they start saying, no, you need to be suspicious of these guys.
Yeah.
As opposed to them.
What got me was that I don't even remember where I read it. It was ages and ages ago. But basically it was a female journalist after female journalists had basically said, we want access to the locker room after the hockey game or after the football game, right? And
I remember that.
It was a female journalist basically saying men should cover up their private parts when I'm in the law, right?
Yep.
I should not have to be subjected to the sight of men's private parts when I'm in their fucking locker room.
Yeah, it's like they're actually exposing. They're now exposing themselves to her.
It's a crime now.
Yeah.
In the locker room, in their locker room.
Yeah, that was a big one for me. I was just flabbergasted that they actually got away with demanding that.
Yeah.
If it had.
Hannah, or Della, are you still there? Oh, looks
Might
like
have lost her.
One of the guys that
Actually,
stays up for 3 days straight to get his story, or drives halfway across the country to shoot something, said, I want to go into the girls' locker room. They'd have all been like, you creep, how dare you? What's for you, pervert? Or you just want to come in here and take pictures of our privates?
Yeah, and then they're acting like the woman, like they're acting like the men in the fucking locker room are the creeps.
Yeah,
and the woman's some kind of a victim.
Space.
All these scenarios, they're really just women pretty much stepping in front of a bus and then complaining because they almost got hit by the bus.
Yeah.
Right? They're putting themselves into a situation where they can expect to be responded to. And it's like when you enter a community like the gaming community and then start criticizing it without establishing your credentials, you're pretty much just stepping in front of a bus. So to complain about almost getting hit by it is outrageous.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's about credentials. I think it's about, this is a male space. Fucking leave it alone. It's a fucking locker room, right?
Yeah.
If you're a woman and you don't like the sight of some dick flopping around, then fucking don't come in here. There's no law that says that you have to come in here and interview us after a game. You can wait 5 minutes till we're out of the locker.
Interview out in the other,
It is egregious, and it's also egregious because, again, like I was saying, they are expecting the women who are already part of the community, not necessarily in the locker room, because the locker room is a male space. They're expecting us to suddenly become suspicious of our friends.
Yeah.
And they are the women we're probably the ones who were socially ostracizing us and our male friends when it wasn't popular. Mm-hmm. But Diana wanted to, I know that Diana had something else to bring to the table here, just specifically on Anita and her modus operandi. Were you ready to go there, Diana?
Yeah, well, essentially, I had to watch a bunch of Anita's stuff. I'd seen her, but I don't like the way she used tropes, so I hadn't really bothered to watch her. So I ended up, for this show, having to watch a bunch of it. So, thanks for that. I'll never get that time back again.
Oh, yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah. But the interesting thing, isn't so much her show. It's the research that other people in the community did on her after the shows came out. And essentially, she's committed a fraud, mostly because she claims to be a gamer, and yet she's on record, doing a lecture at a university saying, I've got the actual quotes here, that she, where is it? She says, I'm not a fan of video games, and says, I would love to play video games, but I don't want to go around shooting people and ripping off their heads. It's gross.
Yeah.
Right? So, you're either a gamer or you're not. And it only matters in this case because she's using credentials that she's claiming as a gamer in order to get away with criticism, right? And another thing that, one of the videos I watched, Amazing Atheist, confronts her inability to separate the story from the game, right? And if you think about games, and I'm not a gamer myself, so, I've played some in the past, but essentially I'm as much of a gamer as Anita seems to be. When you play things, if you look at the original games like Pong, there's no storyline required at all. Pong was one of the original games where you just, it's an action that you're trying to win a game based on, doing the actions that get you to the next level or the next screen. And ultimately, when you look at any game, that's, to me, what it breaks down to be, is you want to get from one level to the next level. And then the storyline that they've started putting to them, which are, it's quite amazing what they can do now with the graphics and, all the little goodies you get when you accomplish a goal. Those are all secondary to the fact that what you're doing is playing a game. The storyline is not the important thing. It just kind of makes one game unique from another. But you could break them all down into, you've got a game paddle, and you're trying to figure out how to press the right sequence of buttons to get you from one spot to another. right?
Yeah.
And that's probably pretty simplistic. But there's some really hilarious footage of Anita pretending to play a video game where she's got these like painted fingernails and she's holding and she's pressing buttons a little bit casually. Well, not only is she not a gamer, I don't know that she's actually watched a real gamer play when you watch this footage, because it's so much more intense than that. I mean, these people get playing games. One of my friends about 3 days straight played a game, and then he was telling me he had this really bad headache problem. And I was like, well, when you play these games, do you move or do you sit in one position for hours and hours and hours at end? He's like, oh my God. And when you watch Anita playing these games, there's no way she has ever been a true gamer like that.
But
from the way she handles these,
when you
controls.
watch with that game controller in her hand in that little clip of footage, the controller's not even on.
Oh my God, I wouldn't doubt that.
It's not even on.
Well, because
there's no lights, there's no nothing, right? There's no LED lights, nothing.
I mean,
and on top of that, she doesn't even have her own footage. Like a real gamer who wants to talk about these shows, she would have played those games and then recorded her own footage to talk about it. But she stole the footage from the Let's Play series on YouTube. A lot of that footage is taken from another source, which she never asked their permission. She doesn't really credit them. Mm-hmm. And, there's a very good reason for doing that, and being that she would have to actually accomplish beating each level in order to get to a point where she could record the footage that she wanted.
And that probably ties into the fact that she does put too much importance on the actual. Most of the stories for games are just framing devices.
Yeah.
You don't really care about saving Princess Peach. You just want to jump on mushrooms, right?
Yeah.
And get all the goodies on the way. Part of it is collecting all the goodies too, and those are kind of like
finding all the secret passageways.
You just want to defeat that freaking one section of that tubular thing on Super Mario World. You have to, like, where you're jumping from platform to platform to platform, right? And they sink as you jump on them. Oh my God, like, and then
or it's like Frogger, right? You just want to get across the screen. You want to make it across the road without getting snucked.
Yeah, that's the essence of games. As a gamer, she fails to understand it that the story is secondary to that. Yeah. To the challenge of this kind of achievement, or ripping off your opponent's head and shoving it down the I won't go there, but anyway.
And whatever images they choose, it's like the Amazing Atheist's response to, I think he responded to her second Tropes video. He actually, because he's kind of a smart guy, brings in the discussion of Joseph Campbell's hero journey, and how if you look at it, this is just using a female as the thing that you're going to go rescue. Is just a convenient, fast way of creating a storyline, and the storyline is really just it's a journey. All stories are a journey, and you have to have certain elements in there to make the story plausible.
Well, exactly.
The female is the MacGuffin.
But we're going to go to a commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to start to take in calls from our listeners. Once again, the number is 1-310-388-9709. That's 1-310-388-9709. You can call in through Skype. So if you have something to tell us, you have something to talk about, something pressing on your mind about games or Anita or women barging into men's spaces, please do call in. And we're going to go and take a commercial break right now.
Join ABFM Radio Director James Huff and ABFM News Director Robert O'Hara every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Central for A Voice for Men News and Activism. This is the weekly radio show that brings you news from the front lines of the men's rights movement, along with interesting and important guests. Come and get your weekly dose of news and commentary about what's going on with the state of men and boys all over the world and what's being done about it. Listen every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Central Time. The time for waiting on the sidelines is over. The time to act is now.
Hey everybody, this is Aaron Clary, a.k.a. Captain Capitalism. Look, I got a great book out there for any student who's going to college or for any parent who has a kid going to college. The title of the book is called Worthless. It is the indispensable young person's guide to choosing the right major. You can find it on Amazon.com. It's in paperback, Kindle, and Audible, all for a lot less than what your kid is going to pay for tuition. That's Worthless. You can find it on Amazon.com.
That's the sound of a glass lens being broken. Most people view the world through a narrow lens, ignoring factors and concepts that don't fit their predetermined worldview. I'm Della Burton, author of Breaking the Glasses, written from an anti-feminist perspective with a focus on men's rights and certain social issues with an unconventional spin. You can check it out at breakingtheglasses.blogspot.com. Join me in breaking those dogma-tinted glasses.
Hello, this is Fiedelbogen. I don't like feminism, and I'm not shy about saying so. I don't want to argue or debate with feminism. I want to put it out of business. And on the Counter-Feminist blog, I discuss 1,000 ways, both large and small, to make this happen. Point your browser to counterfem.blogspot.com.
Are you interested in men's rights? Do you have no one to talk to? Do you live in Saskatoon or the surrounding area? Then come visit us at mensrightssaskatoon.com. Enter your contact info and we'll keep you abreast of meetings and events that we're holding in Saskatoon. That's mensrightssaskatoon.com. Once again, mensrightssaskatoon.com. Serving the people interested in men's rights in the Saskatoon area. And we're back.
Howdy.
Yeah, we're back from that. So let's bring on our first caller for the night. Evan. Evan, are you on?
Hi. Hi, can you hear me?
Hi. Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, hello, I'm very happy to be on the show.
Oh, well, very happy to have you. So what do you have to bring to the table tonight?
Just like two things that I found very interesting. I believe one of your contributors, Diana, pointed out how Anita took Let's Play footage and basically used that in her videos.
It's stunning,
Yep.
really.
Yes. The question this raises for me is the $150,000 that she raised in funds. Where did it go? Because if she used Let's Play footage, she obviously didn't use it to buy the game. And I don't know how familiar you are with her videos. I've seen most of them. The videos, the video quality and level of production value that went into her most recent videos, the Damsels in Distress series, isn't much better or greater than the videos that she made in her Tropes versus Women in Television series, which I think she made back in 2011, 2012. So where is the money going? Is it to her? Because it doesn't make a whole lot of, if she is, then in my opinion, she's a con artist. And it's kind of
that's how I see it, as a total fraudulent con artist job that she's pulled.
Yeah.
Essentially, she used some of that money for the photo shoots in which she made it look like she was gaming.
At the most, like she might have invested in a different editing software, right, which might have been anywhere from $500 to, however many $1,000, right, a few $1,000s, right?
But like $150,000 or. But
the whole thing is completely freaking bogus.
I work in film, and you can actually make a feature film for $150,000.
She's buying shoes. She is, if you look at her, the gigantic hoop earrings that she wears in her new videos are completely different and much more valuable than the gigantic hoop earrings that she was wearing in her earlier videos. Well, I wouldn't know that, but I'm guessing because I don't know where the money went. I have no idea where the money went. The money, a couple $1,000s of it might have gone towards different software for editing. But other than that, I can't see any increase in production value. And there's definitely no increase in the value of what she's saying.
I mean, I'm bold enough to suggest she actually bought herself a gaming unit so she might, play a few games and actually, feel like she's not lying.
Just for comparison on what she got and what she did versus spending on feature films, the original Clerks, I'm sure everybody remembers the original black and white Clerks.
Oh, yeah.
Was less than $30,000. Mm-hmm. Shot for less than $30,000. She got $150,000.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, like I said, you can make a feature film for that with a professional crew.
To be fair, she didn't ask for $150,000.
No, she was asking for $6,000.
But still, the $6,000. I mean, it still doesn't. I mean, why do you need $6,000 to
continue to do what you're already doing?
Yeah,
play video games and criticize them. She can't monetize that channel because otherwise she'd have copyright violations from the videos she stole. So I suppose she figures it justifies not being able to monetize her channel.
Well, you know what gets me is that if she is actually critiquing the videos, but if she is actually critiquing the games, she is fully within her right to size the videos, fully within her right to use the footage of the games for critique, right?
Yeah.
She would have to pay the users who did the Let's Play stuff. Like any kind of copyright bullshit that she would have to deal with would not be between her and the game company, the company that developed the game and marketed the game. It would be between her and the individuals from whom she stole the footage. Because she's not critiquing their play, she's critiquing the games. And so because they uploaded videos of their play, that's what those videos are, she actually owes them all kinds of, like, she's violated their intellectual property rights, she has violated, there's no fair use bullshit that can save her if one of those users wants to hit her video with a copyright notice.
It's fair use as long as she's not making money off it. If she tries to monetize that channel, then it's not fair use anymore.
It is not fair use. Okay? It is not fair use. It doesn't matter whether she's making money off it or not. A pirate site, a P2P sharing site, sharing my book and giving it away in its totality, they're not making any money off of it. In fact, it may cost them to run their operation, right? They may be sinking, right? But they are still violating my intellectual property rights because they are giving away my material for free, and it's not based on education or critique. It's not based on fair use of my material. Now, you're talking about footage of the games in general. Footage of the games in general.
And I'm basing my fair use assessment off of gamers that have looked into it, and they're quite a bit more invested in that discussion than I am. So they've said that it's fair use as long as she doesn't make money. So I'm just kind of quoting them.
They're mistaken. That is true. They are very mistaken.
Okay, guys.
There.
Caller wants to say something more, so let's give him the floor.
Yes.
Did you have something more to say there, Evan?
I just have two quick other things. One, what does her videos do to help real women, other than just her complain about how women are portrayed in video games? I mean, that money could have gone to fund all kinds of causes: domestic violence, breast cancer research, saving women from the actual rape culture that exists in places like the Congo. This is just her complaining about classic problems that I don't think that real women in peril could give a damn about. And if I could just say one other thing. I don't remember from the fallout from one of her original videos how she complained about how all of these men were harassing her. On her Tumblr page, she has a fan flick where, quote, where Spider-Man recruits her to stop a video game designer named Randy Pitchford from developing the Duke Nukem series. She has a paragraph before the fiction. I just want to make it clear she did not write this, where she says, quote, I kind of like it. It ends with her having Randy Pitchford beg for his life, and then she kills him. It's like the most hypocritical thing I have ever seen, and how no one or more people hasn't called her out on this, where she advocates and endorses violence against a real person, where she is complaining about rape and death threats, and I don't believe for a second she was in any actual danger. If she says that she was in danger, I think she's a coward, and she doesn't belong on the internet.
But wait, Evan, I mean, really seriously, who isn't in danger from the over 9,000 penises out there that are going to rape us at any moment, right?
Well, true.
Oh yeah, the over 9,000 penises of 4chan.
Yes.
I only bring this up because she made such a big deal about it, but now she is now endorsing a fan fiction where she violently murders
Yeah, it is very hypocritical.
And apparently Spider-Man is helping her for some reason, which I don't understand.
Well, it's not hard to find hypocrisy in anything a feminist says, really.
What I find hilarious is that her videos. I mean, like, her videos have received the videos that she has put out since the Kickstarter thing, like brouhaha, right? I can almost guarantee you that they have not earned her the notoriety and the amount of speaking engagements and all of that her damseling campaign earned her. I mean, like, she went on TEDx. They flew her to frickin' Sweden to give a talk on internet bullying of women. And I was just astounded that a woman in the audience at that seminar stands up and says, "I've never been a target of this. I've been doing this for years and years and years, but I'm just so terrified." And she starts crying. And I'm like, you've never been a target of internet harassment. You've never been a target of gendered bullying. You've never been a target of that, and yet you're terrified. I wonder why you're terrified. Is it because people tell you need to be terrified, or is it because you're actually at risk?
Because you're living in a freaking prison of fear that feminists have put you in.
Yeah.
We have to move on.
Well, and that's their stick.
Well, that's where Anita's
getting a ton of callers, guys. We have a ton of callers. Thank you, Evan, for calling in. Feel free to call in anytime. And we're going to move now to Caseball. Did I say that right? Caseball?
No, you didn't, but I don't really care.
Okay.
But, hello, everyone.
We're doing well.
Good.
So it was actually good that you guys brought up 4chan there for a moment, because have you guys heard of the rules of the Internet?
The rules of the Internet?
The rules of the Internet, like there are no girls on the Internet. If it exists, there's porn of it. Yeah, the rules of the Internet.
Yeah.
Yeah. The pushback against Anita and like feminists in general in the gaming world can pretty much be tied to Rule 30 of the Internet. There are no girls on the Internet. And, feminists will point, oh, that's so misogynistic, but they don't see what that rule really entails. The rule means your gender doesn't define you on the Internet or in, like, gaming sphere. What defines you is your ability to perform or your intellect. Yeah. What matters more is your brain, not the fact that you have tits.
What that rule should be is that there is no gender on the Internet.
Well, that's what it means. There are no girls on the Internet.
Yeah,
and it's a response to the fact that there are people who will come forward and say, well, no, because I'm a girl. This because I'm a girl. That because I know this because I'm a girl. You can't say that because I'm a girl. I'm a girl. I'm a girl. And that also inspired the variation of pics or it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Is tits or get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Because so many people will use, I'm a girl.
Yeah.
As a battering ram in internet debate, in requests, anything like that.
Shit talking, anything, yeah.
It's essentially a way of cluster bombing the environment and saying, now you must all bow to me because I'm a girl.
Yeah, right? And I'm lying here on my fainting couch calling for my hartshorn.
Yeah, so that it's just specifically, like Della says, it's just specifically calling out that particular meme.
Well, the Internet forces agency because you have to turn on your computer in the first place. Then you have to click on the site. Then you have to click on a reply box. There's like no way of avoiding agency online. So this whole damseling kind of thing, or declaring some sort of a gender problem. If they don't like it, just turn it off. And Anita in specific, it's ridiculous that she's going after a community that's intricately tied to the Internet and communities, and without expecting there to be a backlash like this. And I actually wonder if her main goal wasn't feminist frequency, but to start making a living off of confronting online bullying. Like she has to have almost set herself up for this.
That's the only reason. The only reason she got that $160, it was actually $160,000+, The only reason she got that was because of those bullying comments. The only reason that she has had all of these speaking engagements, that's been her topic. In fact, she gives the exact same freaking talk everywhere she goes, in Sweden, at TEDx, on freaking CNN, everywhere, right? She gives the exact same regurgitated, memorized by rote spiel, right, about the bullying. It's all about the freaking, the harassing, the comments. It's all about the comments that she received. And what gets me is, you can't even say that it is bullying. You can't even say that it's bullying because...
No, it's really not.
No, well, because bullying involves one person targeting another person, or one, group of people targeting another person and repeatedly going after them. And where there's this huge base of users, you could literally have every single person leaving one nasty comment, every person who doesn't like her leaving one nasty comment, and that could be like 1 million freaking comments.
It's hilarious because, I really think, and I love when people attack me online. I think it's hilarious. Somebody sent me a hate letter, and I made origami out of it and posted a picture online.
Oh, man,
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I got the best troll a while back. I think you got it too, Karen. It was this disembodied devil head thing. Deep voice.
Disembodied devil head?
It was like, it was great.
In extremely bad grammar, unpunctuated, uncapitalized, completely freaking incoherent, right? He's like, I'm coming to rape you. I will molest you until you cry. I just masturbated to you. Now I will come and do the real thing. And I was just like, Christ, that means I have to tidy up my house. Like, what the fuck?
Exactly.
Like, can you give me...
How do you respond to
stress?
It's entirely up to your own creative mind.
Oh,
you can do anything. Like, people want to threaten to rape you. Well, shoot a funny video where it looks like you're getting raped and then enjoying it.
That's the other thing. It's like she interpreted as threats. We are raping you right now with our over 9,000 penises.
Oh, my God.
It's not a threat.
Honestly.
Can I have 9,001?
If we're going to talk about threats and stuff like that, I would hazard a guess that journalists and other people, other public figures who have either been killed or assaulted or had vandalism happen or who've had an assassination attempt or whatever, okay, I'm almost positive that the people who actually do that, right, they don't post a bunch of threats. They just pick up their gun and go do it.
Yeah.
And with that, that woman who stood up and said, I never experienced gender abuse online, but I'm so afraid of it, why doesn't she just, like you're talking about agency, turn your computer off, get your cat, get your box of bonbons and watch soaps.
You don't even just think about it.
The internet doesn't actually need her.
Just hear somebody saying something that does not match your experience. And it doesn't just not match your experience. It completely and utterly contradicts years and years of your experience. Why believe that person?
Yeah, why? But we got to move on to the next caller. Unless, case of all, sorry I'm butchering it, but do you have anything to conclude with? Any additional comments?
No. Have a good night, everyone.
Yes, thank you for the call, and do call again. All right, we're going to move on to Nefenor. And I apologize, Nefenor, if I'm not pronouncing that right. Are you there?
No, you got it perfect. That's the right way to say it.
Okay, so what do you have to bring to us tonight?
Well, first off, I'd just like to say to Della, the computer is your friend. She'll know exactly what I mean.
Everybody that knows anything knows that the computer is your friend.
And a couple comments here. First off, as you were saying, all that stuff that Anita was getting is not really threats most of the time. It's threatoids, as was termed. I can't remember. I believe it was you, Karen, who termed that. And,
but the hilarious thing is that I stole that from Integral Math, or Justicar, right? And he stole that term from Free Thought Blogs or Atheism Plus. It was one or the other. And Atheism Plus or Free Thought Blogs was defending their shove a dead porcupine up your ass, I hope you die in a fire comments, right? Okay. They were defending those comments that they had made, saying they're not actually threats, they're threatoids. I can't take credit for that. That belongs to that whole freaking Atheism Plus Free Thought Blogs community.
Well, I'd also like to thank you for favoriting the video that I did defining threatoids, which really helps because now we've actually got a definition out there.
Yeah.
And the whole thing about this, though, is that she actually, her or Anita or one of her cohorts went onto 4chan and actually commented there about this thing. So, in a way, it's like her kicking the hornet's nest and then complaining that the hornets are biting her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stinging her, right? Yeah.
And honestly, they didn't even really bite. They buzzed around her angrily.
Yeah,
she didn't really get stung. Nobody did anything to her. They said things that she didn't like. Big, fat, hairy deal.
If she couldn't predict that, then she's an absolute...
Yeah, anyone who doesn't know
moron.
what happens when you go to 4chan and post something like that deserves to be yelled at.
Yeah.
Think about the order of events there. She asked for fundraising. She kicked the hornet's nest. She complained about getting stung when she hadn't really gotten stung. Then she got money.
Yeah.
Maybe she did it on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And
I will actually say that she did actually suffer some blowback above and beyond just angry words on the internet. She did have some denial of service attacks or whatever the frick they're called, right? She did have some people hacking into things, right?
But that's predictable too, because you're talking about people who specialize, like a lot of their life revolves around computers.
Yeah. They specialize in that. She would have had to know that. I don't even know what a freaking denial of service attack is, but I'm not going to freaking go messing with 4chan.
We just overload your website so that nobody...
Yeah, they overload it so it won't open up to people.
Okay, so
the other
thank
comment,
you, Nephilim.
I have one more comment. A friend of mine was saying that she's a female gamer too, and her comment is, they don't need to make games with more girls in them. They need to make games that don't repel girls, which is a lot easier to do and a lot less sexist.
Well, but I don't even know. Like, I know that they need to make games, some games that don't repel girls.
Well, there are games that don't repel girls.
They don't need to make games.
I don't know why they're so repelled.
All games.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Okay, here's the thing. If we have to make games that don't repel girls, do we have to make romance novels that don't repel men? Boys?
Yeah.
Like, it's like just leave it alone. Let men have and boys have their own stuff.
Well, okay,
but have our own stuff too.
But there are some love stories out there, right, that don't repel men.
Yeah, that's fine.
We would want to have some love stories out there that don't repel men. That doesn't mean that we have to make every freaking romance novel or love story or any kind of freaking story with a romantic plot or subplot appeal to men or not repel men. We don't need to make every game to the point where it doesn't repel women. Like, I don't understand why men... You look at romantic comedies, like my boyfriend is just like, oh my God, like, and thank God I'm the same way. Like, oh my God, I could never even freaking watch this, right? Why would society feel compelled or forced to make a romantic comedy appeal to me?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, why is this a virtue? Why is if men have a space, they have things, they have interests, why is it a virtue that you have to make it female friendly? That's the point. So, Nephinor, did you have anything else to add to that?
No, not really.
Okay, well, thank you for calling in, and we are going to move to Arcade. Now, I'm pretty sure I pronounced that right. Arcade, are you there?
Oh, hey, how's it going?
It's good.
Can you hear me?
Good.
Somewhere in a handbasket, but it's going.
So,
okay.
What do you want to talk about today?
So I just wanted to give some perspective on this whole thing, because I used to have a channel where I always talked about girl gamers and whatnot. So I think I have a bit of a informed opinion on this and whatnot. So basically what I wanted to ask is, what do you think is the psychological motivations for women acting the way they do, where they come inside a community and they basically expect things to conform to their interest? And an example I'll give of this is that recently gaming has become more mainstream and popular, as you all know. And there has been the emergence of this thing called esports, which is basically competitive gaming, whether it's first-person shooters or fighting games. And this community, this new emerging community, is built off a meritocracy, of wanting to be the best, of wanting to be acknowledged because you get sponsorships, you get, some fame, thousands of dollars of money, and prize money. So I guess what I'm kind of getting at here is that these communities, in my opinion, are kind of very intrinsically male or masculine because they're based off that competitive edge to be the best, So if it does become more female-centric and appeal more to women, it's going to suddenly become something about, being competitive and trying to be the best to more of a, being about polite discourse, about trying to be inclusive, trying to be, I guess in a way, nicer and more tolerable to people. And I guess I just wanted to hear what you girls think about that in terms of, do you think that there's a potential if things become more female-centric, if it has the possibility to ruin things or to, in a way, kind of sabotage something like the gaming community?
I'm going to speak to that. I think what you're considering politer and more nice is actually just the way that women compete. What you're seeing is women competing to centralize themselves as the source of belonging in the community. So they get to decide who is acceptable and who is unacceptable. And one of the ways they do that is by establishing these rules of politeness and niceness and who's the bigger victim who needs to be served and who, they create these hierarchies of victimhood, these rules about being nice, about being polite. And it's all about deciding who belongs in the community and what kind of behavior is acceptable. And this is how women compete. And it's really funny because this isn't actually being nice or being polite. It is actually a pretty ruthless and cutthroat competition when you realize what they're doing. They're essentially trying to maximize other women's agency, like that we see that they're doing, that they have the capability of doing bad acts while minimizing their own. And when you understand it, when you get that key to it, it becomes a lot more bloodthirsty than people might imagine. But
sorry.
What I would say is that the impetus for women to actually enter into these male-dominated spaces is because I think that women are essentially intimidated and obsessed and admiring at the same time of male agency. And so whenever they see an area where there are men who are respecting each other, who are there's sort of an honor system, there's a huge culture of honor and respect and achievement and meritocracy and all of these things, right? This is a culture of agency. Even if they're not doing anything, even if they're just getting to level 62 on World of Warcraft or however many levels they have, right?
Yeah.
There's that kind of status seeking among the men. And I think that women have a real anxiety around male agency when it is not harnessed or reined, leashed by women. I think that that whole, the petition in the 1670s or whatever it was with the coffee houses in London, in England, where women petitioned the king to ban coffee houses because their husbands were congregating together and were outside the realm of female policing. And it's what are those men doing? What are they doing? What are they planning? What are they getting up to? I think that when women see a group that is actually, if they see a group of losers who are men hanging out together, right, they're okay to leave it alone. But if they see a group of men who are becoming popular or becoming fashionable or having some kind of social status, and all of those men are conglomerating together, they're like, oh my God, we have to do something to police this, right? To direct their behavior. Because
I say there's a form of relational aggression.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because what's interesting
to
me is that. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
They have no control over that men are going to this space, but it's not including women, so they're not getting the attention. And in order for them to exercise relational aggression within their relationships, they need to somehow, inject themselves into that environment so that they have
I don't even know if it's a relationship thing. I think it's actually a bigger thing than just individual relationships. I think it is a sort of a global. What are those men up to?
Yeah, well,
this is a group of men who have status, and this is a group of men who can get things done because they have status.
Well, relational aggression goes beyond just individual personal relationships as well as to, trying to control the community by, putting yourself in a position to dominate or to dictate to it.
Yeah.
Well, what's interesting about this community is that
I think overall it's really about the idea that women control belonging of a group, and they're supposed to be able to control it and dictate it. And if they don't actually have access to that, they feel like it's somehow illegitimate. But we got to move on because we have a unbelievable number of callers. Did you want to say
one thing I do want to say? Yeah. With respect to gaming and with respect to nerd culture, there is another aspect to this that I think is getting passed over. These are, and it's been mentioned before, but these are women who look down on the members of the culture. They're walking into an environment and taking up with an environment because being involved with that environment makes them cool and special, since women are rare in that environment, and it's associated with intellect, and it's associated with agency, and it's associated with maybe being a little tougher, or maybe being a little smarter, or maybe being a little more relaxed, being the cool girl in the group. Yeah. But they look down on the guys that are there. And I think that's part of why they have to change everything about the environment. They walk into that environment with a snotty attitude to begin with. And since they're predisposed to view that environment as being flawed and having things about it that deserve to be looked down on, they're going to try to change it. They're going to demand that it change to suit them instead of adapting to their environment.
Yep.
Yeah.
But we got to move on because we do have a lot of callers. Arcade, thank you for calling in and thank you for your insights. And
no problem. Sure thing.
We're going to move to Angela. Angela, are you there?
Hi,
Angela.
So. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're a little muffled. Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, thank God. There's something wrong with my phone. I was about to throw it. I kind of just wanted to call in and make a point. We kind of talked about that before, but I'm a gamer. That's pretty much why I'm here. I'm so pissed off about this Anita thing. What she's doing, I think, actually is hurting women that are already in gaming.
Yes.
Because I'm starting to be treated, I've noticed already, differently with, suspicion. I'm going to be somehow affiliated with her, and I'm going to just accuse everyone of sexism at every turn.
Yeah. Yep.
And
pretty
much that. Go ahead.
This is one of the things.
This is awesome. We need to get more women. I tried to find female gamers speaking out against Anita, and I couldn't find them in the results because it's either buried too far or they're just not speaking out. So I was actually wanting to make a point of that. It would be amazing for female gamers to get together and start, confronting her.
I've actually read a few articles from game developers and from female game developers and female gamers about what they dislike about Anita Sarkeesian, what they dislike about feminism, making inroads into tech and into gaming culture. And, it basically is almost always based on I have a hard enough time as a woman with the women they've come across to get them to trust me, to get them to feel free to speak around me, to get them to, like, relax around me and say whatever the fuck they want to say, right? I'm okay with them saying whatever the fuck they want to say, right? But they don't know that I'm okay with that because of all of the things that they've experienced so far in their lives, right? And I have had to earn the right to interact with them on an equal level by proving to them they can speak freely, they can interact with me like a regular person, blah, 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 right? And then these feminists come in and fuck everything up, right? They
That's
fuck all
exactly,
my
yeah. It's, sorry.
Amen, and in a not necessarily religious way. I've had the same experience in gaming, in photography, in publishing, anything that I've been involved with that is not necessarily popular with women in general.
Yeah.
As soon as something akin to feminism, as soon as the self-centered attitude comes in there, the emphasis on the femininity and the emphasis on the automatic respect instead of the earning of respect comes in, I get treated differently.
Tying this into Della's little bit on role-playing games, I've done like live-action role-playing and stuff like that. Here's my suggestion to you. You and a bunch of other female gamers get together and do videos in costume as players and confront Anita and show that you're actually fucking gamers where she's just a fraud. She's
there are few,
that would be fun.
But get some sort of a gimmick like that. Dress up in a character. You know.
Everybody. What Angela's trying to speak, so go ahead, Angela.
Oh, sorry, I just want to say there are a few bigger YouTubers out there that have said things against her. There's Kite Tails that said she had a video pretty much saying she didn't like how negative Anita was this whole time, how it just isn't meshing well with how the females already there in the community feel. And there's don't know if I'm going to say her name right, but it's Inuita or something like that.
Inuit.
Is that it?
Yeah.
She's on it. She loves, like, that's her life.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's been a few female gamers, few gamers who are women who have spoken out against her and said, you know, like, I don't see what the huge freaking big fat hairy deal is. And you know, basically saying that, you know, I'm a gamer first. And this is one of the things that I found hilarious in the skeptical atheist community. Amy Roth was reduced to tears over somebody, a woman wearing a shirt saying, I'm a skeptic, not a woman skeptic, not a skeptic, just a skeptic, right? And it's like she was reduced to tears over this T-shirt, but it's a declaration saying my gender has nothing to do with my interests or my beliefs or, you know, what I want to do with myself, right? My gender is the secondary thing. Like when I'm at a skeptic convention, my skepticism is the thing that
my gender takes second. It takes second to my agency, my beliefs, aspects of my character. But again, we have tons of callers. Thank you for calling in, Angela. Thanks again. Please call in again whenever the topic interests you. And we're going to move to Vivica Latour. Vivica, are you there?
Hello.
Hi.
Yes, I'm here. Hi. First of all, it's a pleasure to listen to you guys. And also, I really wanted to thank Karen because I watched your videos, and it really helped me. Up until a couple weeks, I was still calling myself a feminist. So it helped me transition into pushing that away and really seeing the truth of things. I always had issues with feminism, but I still thought, you know, so relinquishing that and moving into human rights and supporting the men's human rights movement. So I wanted to thank you because your videos are really helpful and informative. So I was watching the damsel in distress part, and it was very horrible. It was very difficult to watch. But I do agree with the intercepting of the brotherhood of men. where there's always an issue with men should never gather. It's not okay because, of course, men are the root of all evil and they're up to something wrong. So I think that that's definitely what she's trying to do, as well as she brings up ancient Greece, which is really asinine, and she talks about damsels in distress in Greek myth, which is a load of crap because there's the sirens. There's the man-eating sirens. So I found it really bizarre that she would talk about damsels in distress. And there was also Actaeon, who was a hunter who saw the goddess of Artemis, and she was bathing, and she turned him into a stag, and he was torn apart by his own dogs. So I don't know where she thinks Greece, ancient Greek myths was, poor women, because there was some horrendous things there.
Oh, literally,
Also,
you have not just the sirens, but you have the Furies, and you have the Fates, and you have you have all of these iconoclastic women who are either they can be evil, they can be cold, they can be completely ambivalent, like they literally, and a lot of them have immense power.
Yeah. But what was the final thing that you wanted to say, Vivica?
Oh, she keeps calling the women in video games the men's possessions, but that's lingo. Like I don't see how she can't see how the characters, there's someone that they love, and what would be the most painful part that would actually motivate them for revenge is losing someone they love. But
she keeps lose someone that you love.
No.
Yeah, but she calls women possessions. So it's like, I don't know. It just sounds like a load of horseshit.
One thing that I find really interesting, I don't know how many games there are where, because I know that she's taken particular exception to games where the love interest of the hero is killed, right? And he has to rescue her from the underworld, or he has to rescue her from death, right?
Yeah.
But where are all of the games where that's reversed, where there's actually a woman who loves a man so much that she's willing to go into hell? She's willing to go into hell to get him back.
Yeah, they don't exist.
Exactly.
Right?
And she actually mentions that, which is crazy. She mentions that in the game. She's like, oh, well, you don't see women doing that. And I'm like, oh, my God, you're an idiot. Yeah, you don't. Yeah. Isn't that terrible?
Well, okay, here's
they don't do it.
Okay, here's
there was somebody a while back that made a point about that. You don't risk your life for your laptop.
Yeah.
You risk your life for people you love. And that's one of the things that really bugs me about feminism is they look at all relationships entirely, every relationship there is, and then they take just women's relationships with men, and they define that relationship as different from every other type of relationship there is. Yeah. And your loving relationship with a man means he owns you. Everything else is a normal relationship or just an existing relationship, but that relationship is different, and he owns you.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
Then you can't have a relationship with a man who doesn't own you.
If we're talking about owning, my kids own me. My kids fucking own me. Like they, yeah.
There's topic about to happen, so I'm going to intercede here. Thanks for the comments, Vivica. Feel free to call in again, and we're going to have to move on. And I'm going to move on to Dannon. Dannon, yep, we can hear you. Yep,
right.
You're a little muffled.
You're a little muffled.
Can you hear me now? Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, sorry about that. Thanks for having me on the show, typing in Girls Write What. It's been a while. My main topic about this is what she doesn't cover, because she kind of cherry picks what she wants to choose. Anita Sarkeesian likes to kind of cherry pick and just go for the pits, essentially. One of the more popular games with a female lead was Miss Pac-Man, which is infinitely more popular than Pac-Man. I'm not sure how many people remember that, but the game maybe sold maybe 4 to 6 times more than its original counterpart, and still probably one of the most recognizable people today.
Well, all I know is that my ex-husband said that when he was playing as the lead guitarist and singer of the the bar band in Inuvik, which is like way up in the Northwest Territories or something like that, that there were literally bets going down because you have this community of people who have nothing to spend their money on and they're all making tons of money, going down on games of tabletop Ms. Pac-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
My second point kind of
Okay,
leads into
so,
this,
yeah, Miss.
I'll keep going. You were starting.
Could you get a little closer to the microphone? You're a little muffled.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm trying to get close. It's just the cell phone's kind of crappy.
Go ahead and make your second point.
The second point is, I believe her name is Delilah. I play a lot of games, too, from tabletop to board games and stuff, and one of my major pet peeves, the same with her, is like, if you're trying to come into the group to change the group, you're not really here to play for the game, essentially. You're trying to use this for social status or whatever you perceive it may be. So those kind of people, they try to, like, it's not because they're there to play the game. They're just there to, like, oh, this group of people, I might be cool with them for stuff or things. They're not there for the game, and that's probably, like, the most jarring thing about the girl gamer, because the majority of the people I play with, male or female, like to play the game, and then you like to drive all this personal stuff into it. It ruins it for everyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really does, and it ruins it for both sexes because you get the guys are no longer able to be comfortable in an environment that was mostly male, and then you also get that the girls that were there before the girl gamer came along are no longer just gamers. Now they're girl gamers, and they have to be treated like girl gamers because the guys that don't know them don't know whether or not they're gamers or girl gamers. And they're going to always have to wear that, and they're always going to have to deal with that.
Well, one other thing that gets me, too, is that my boyfriend plays Team Fortress 2 an awful lot. And he says that you come across these girls in the game, not all of the girls in the game, but a few girls in the game who, these guys in the game are giving them shit. They're giving them the fancy hats. They're giving them all of the accessories. They're sending them all of the shit that would cost you $20, right? They're giving it to these women. And it's basically like, can I buy you a drink? That's really what it is. Can I buy you a drink? Can I, like, here, let me give you something of monetary value so that you will acknowledge me as a person?
Yeah.
And
first time I played Dungeons and Dragons, I chose to be a female orc with extremely low intelligence because it was the best character for me to play, being that I didn't know how the game worked, right?
Yeah.
My whole thing was to practice staying in character. So, no matter what was going on, I just wanted to hit something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
okay, well,
and you didn't necessarily always understand. Yeah. It's actually kind of fun to play a character that's got low intelligence because you can pretend to not understand what's going on in the game.
Della, we have
so much fun.
a ton of people calling in, so we got to move on. And
all right.
Okay, Dan, thank you for your call. We're now moving to Patrick. Patrick, can you hear me? Can you hear us? Patrick,
yes, I can.
Hi. Great, and really good connection. So take us where you want to go.
All right. Well, I've been plugged into the gaming community for a while. Been playing since I was 5. First game was Doom, but also I'm part of the 4chan community and also the Encyclopedia Dramatica community. And recently, Anita has stuck it in a hornet's nest. ED is extremely pissed, and they're attempting to dox her as it goes right now. And the thing is, I haven't been involved in this at all. I've been content to sit on the side and watch. But she's pissed off more people than just the men's rights community, the game community, and all of the other sort of associated manosphere type people. She's really, really pissed off the average person. I think that sort of bodes well for the people who are sitting on the sidelines and watching this.
Yeah. I actually wonder how on earth is it possible to dox somebody whose face is out there and who has a name like Anita Sarkeesian. Like, I have a not completely obscure, bizarre name, right? And my face is out there. My name is out there. The moment that I put my name out there and put it to my face, I was doxxed. Like, there's no doxing me now. Anybody who looks in the white page, I don't. How do you dox?
Wow, I think that we might have dropped.
People go out there specifically to get attention, and then they cry when they get attention.
But how could anybody with a name like Anita Sarkeesian, whose face is out there in public, claim that she's being doxxed?
Yeah, that is a good question.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
women have that name in the world.
Yeah, if she wanted to remain anonymous.
It could be over 9,000.
If she wanted to remain anonymous, she would have used the pseudonym Anita Smith.
Yeah. But thank you, Patrick, for that. We're going to have to move on to the next caller. Please call in again. But we are completely swamped with callers today. So, Oscar, are you on, Oscar?
Hello.
Hi. What do you have to bring to the table?
I'm a games journalist. I run a gaming website, originalgamer.com, and I've been following this whole feminist frequency for quite a while now. And
before you continue, what's your website again?
Oh, it's originalgamer.com.
That's originalgamer.com. Okay, continue.
So I've been covering this pretty much. I've heard about feminist frequency about 2 years ago with her videos regarding sexism in TVs and movies and so on. And then I saw the Kickstarter, and it was going. I saw she's going to make her go, and then the game about her came out, and it blew up. And it's been getting ridiculous from the media side because she has everybody on her side. There's not even an objectivity here. It's literally when I talk to these people now, like a year or two ago, they were balanced on everything. Now it's like I'm talking to Fox News.
Oh yeah.
And it's gotten to a point where they've gone on the attack for stuff that's very, it's minimal. And what's really sort of bugged me regarding the Trumps versus women video is that now it's creating this culture where not only is everything suddenly offensive, now everything is bad unless they follow her rules. I'll give an example. In her last video, there's a game called Ghost Trick. It's for the Nintendo DS. It's a great game, puzzle game, logic game, and in it, you're a ghost that saves people. One of the people is a little girl who's being held hostage by an assassin, and she puts it in her video. And now there's people that are saying that this game sucks because it has that.
What?
And they're ignoring the fact that in the game you save men and you save women. It goes back and forth. You're saving everybody. You're saving a dog too.
Yeah.
But she points this one point. She takes out any context, and she just puts it like, here's a game that does it, and then this is why it's bad. And now her followers are saying, oh, it's a bad game.
Oh no, it's absolutely ridiculous. It basically is one of the wonderful tools of feminism is to cherry pick, to ask only the questions that you want to know the answers for, right? And to ask them in a way that will give you the answers that you want, right? Mm-hmm. So this is just so typical. It's so typical. This is essentially her series on damseling in games is analogous to all of feminist advocacy research on domestic violence, right? It's exactly the same. So
yeah, it's sort of the deep hypocrisy of this whole thing, because feminism is damseling, and it's the biggest social force for promoting damseling in women today.
And if you fail to damsel the way they want you to damsel, then you get in trouble with the feminists.
Yeah, then they they pimp slap you. But
they get very angry.
Thank you for your input, Oscar. We're going to have to move to Zane. Zane, are you there?
Hey, how you doing?
Oh, doing well.
I'm good.
Your example of Anita Sarkeesian holding the controller and it not being on. Sorry. It made me remember from the promo for League of Legends. They had Team Siren. Yes? Can you hear me?
Sorry, could you repeat that?
Oh, League of Legends decided to make a all-female professional team. Team? Oh, sorry, I'm coming down with a cold. And in the video, they show all these women on this team, Team Siren. And your example of Anita holding the controller reminded me. In League of Legends, you use the QWER. It's one of the few games that you do. You see a close-up of them going to the keyboard. They put their hands on the WASD. So
they have their hands in the wrong position.
Wrong spot.
Yeah, sorry. And
that's okay.
These women were put together by League of Legends to be a all-female team. They didn't have very many credentials. They were completely slaughtered by the other professional teams and disbanded 3 months later, saying the league community was harassing too much. But these women will go stream on Twitch and say the most ridiculous things to people they're playing with, just horrible things. I think at one point, one of the women go, "Well, you're not sponsored. You suck." That should never be acceptable for somebody that's. Go ahead.
Zane, we're going to have to move on, and it's definitely that point is these women. Not only are they not real gamers, but they often engage in incredible hypocrisy because they, like one of the previous callers says, Anita is promoting this violent fantasy in which she shoots somebody in the head.
Well, I actually think HT Arcade was someone who put out a video of some footage of some girl gamers who were in a tournament with male gamers, and when these female gamers started losing, right, and these male gamers aren't even saying anything, and the female gamers start shaming them for being losers. Don't you masturbate to me? You just want to look at my tits, blah 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 blah. You know, and it was like I'm sitting there, I'm watching this, and I'm going, what? Seriously, what? Right? And these male gamers are sitting there. They didn't say an entire word the whole freaking time. And these female gamers are like, you just want to look at my tits. You just want to freaking blah blah blah. You just never be able to touch me. Yeah, I'd never let you freaking anywhere near me. You could just go masturbate. Go masturbate to somebody else, not me.
But, it's completely. It's just a shuck and jive just because they didn't want to freaking lose. But okay, now we're gonna take Crystal. Crystal, are you there, Crystal?
Hi. Yeah, I'm here.
Hi.
Hello.
So what? Yep, we can hear you. So what did you want to say to us tonight?
Well, earlier somebody mentioned that these girl gamers will enter the gaming community because of how tough they'll seem and how cool they'll seem and how awesome and intelligent they'll seem. Without the problem is that they don't ever actually act tough. They don't have the kind of thick skin that sometimes you need in these harder gaming communities.
Yes.
As I've played a lot on Xbox since I've had access to an Xbox, and I've received loads of just horrible things, but it doesn't bother me at all because that doesn't bother me. It never has. It was nothing. It was something that never bothered me, and it was one of the major reasons why I kind of hung out with more guys when I was younger, and even now I still have more guy friends than girlfriends because I seem to fit a little bit better with that particular group of people, and I don't take everything the wrong way.
Well, I don't even know if it's taking things the wrong way. I think it's taking things personally, right?
Yeah, having your ducks back.
Like
I call it your duck's back. You let it roll off of you like water off a duck's back.
Yeah.
And Crystal, you had something else to add to that, so go ahead.
Well, it was just that Anita is doing a lot of real damage to gamers like me and to gamers like some of the other women that I know who have worked so very hard to be trusted in these environments and who join in these events and who everybody treats with suspicion. And now women who have never been treated with, never been given the girl gamer quiz before, who've never been asked to prove it, are now having to prove again who they are.
Yeah.
And the worst is getting asked, you're not going to be offended if I say this, or you're not going to be offended if I have a beer, you're not going to be offended if, and it's something that's completely unoffensive.
Oh, yeah. One of the things that I've noticed is that since I've started meeting with men's rights Edmonton regularly and, going out to lunch and stuff or going out for dinner and drinks, is that our conversations, because they feel like they know that I'm okay, right? And some of the shit that we say, I mean, it's just like freaking, it's so relaxed, it's so hilarious, anything goes, it's all good, we give each other a hard time, we give each other the gears, it's like, but I do know that the moment that a couple of other, women that haven't been involved in the group yet come in, everybody's demeanor changes, right? Everybody's just sort of
shields go up.
They're
just watching what they say. They're not crossing any lines. And it's a lot less fun. That's the reason.
It's everybody tightened up, and they don't want to, they're on pins and needles. They don't want, and it's sort of a horrible feeling, but not just for the women who actually get to the point where we feel like we're in a community of men who trust us and will let their guard down, but also the guys. Like, they have to suffer through this, like, an increasingly encroached upon space where they can't be themselves, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't even think it's a matter of, you worked really hard to earn your place, because it isn't really that hard to earn your place.
You don't have to be fragile.
You just
it's not hard when you're legitimate.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a natural thing for some women that they're not going to take things seriously. They're going to just laugh about anything, right? And then they're going to give it back.
Exactly.
Right.
So, Crystal, did you have anything else to add? Because we do have a lot of callers.
I don't actually have anything more to add except for that you ladies are awesome. You're amazing. I have tried really hard not to miss anything that you have put out in a long time, and thank you. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thanks. That means a lot. Feel free to call in whenever you want to in a future episode. So we're going to go to Karn now. Karn.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah.
So what do you got to tell us tonight?
Okay, well, I'd like to say something to Karen. I can't say that I've seen all of your videos, but I have listened to them all. And it's funny because I usually listen to them while I play video games because it's a big time saver. It's something to listen to while I'm doing something monotonous. Yeah. And I think it's hilarious because one of the games I was playing was one of the most advanced games for its time. It was actually, they wrote an operating system to work in DOS. And you can pick a male hero or a female hero. And the thing I've noticed is that in all the video games I play, and I've played tons of them. My first game was Space Invaders, which I'm sure Anita will find some way to find sexist.
Oh, I'm sure she will.
But
Space Invaders.
It's been my notice for 30 years that women, specifically feminists, have been trying to turn men into women. And with this, I think it's hilarious because then they complain when we're not man enough.
Oh yeah. Oh, the moment that a man in game culture says, "You've hurt my feelings," what happens?
Yeah, everybody has to fall all over themselves to say.
No, a man who's
when it's a man, it's all of a sudden it's
that's like
man up.
It's like, okay,
what's wrong with you for saying that?
It's not even man up. It's everybody jumps on him and kicks the shit out of him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And the women get in on it too.
Yeah, it's do say what I think what I said and then totally reverse it.
Yeah, do what I say, not what I do.
Exactly. They want men to be more like women, but they don't want to afford them the kind of social, well, I would call it a form of social respect. You know, women get when they're vulnerable. People will not abandon them. They won't insult them. They'll actually try to help them. That's a form of respect. And
it's not so much that they want men to be more like women, it's that they want control.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a valid point too. Thank you, Carm, and feel free to call again in the future.
I do have two more things I'd like to point out.
Really quick.
Have you guys seen the movie Taken?
No, I haven't.
I've seen the movie Taken.
Okay, all right. Is that sexist against women?
Is it what part of it?
The movie. Well, that movie is pretty much everything Anita was complaining about in the games. Men going out to save women. And he went in to save his
no, I would actually say that movie was sexist against men because the majority of humans trafficked in the world are men, not women.
Yeah, so it hides that vulnerability that men have. And you had one last thing to say?
Yes, one last thing. After watching one of Karen's videos, I was going through some of the video responses, and the most ridiculous shit I have ever heard in my entire life was said by a feminist on the issue of rape. And she said, and I quote, "If you nag your wife for sex and she relents and she gives in and you have sex, you are a rapist."
God, then every single fucking woman on the planet is a rapist. I guarantee you, every single woman who has ever been in a long-term relationship on the planet is a rapist.
Yeah, and it's as ridiculous
well, she's saying
that
the men are the rapists, but yeah.
Okay, thank you, Karn, and we are going to move now to Sarah. Sarah, we're on board.
Hi.
What do you have to say?
Thanks. I just wanted to first, like everything that you guys have been saying, I'm a gamer, so I totally agree with many of the things that have been said, but I'm also a game developer. I'm a programmer, and I just wanted to talk about things from like how the feminist stuff has been affecting women getting into programming and getting into the game industry. It's very, like, I've never really had much use for feminism and stuff. I was mostly just not a fan of it and stuff. Didn't know why. Would get really ticked when I heard stuff about it. But then realized, it was the fact that the entire thing is predicated on the idea that women can't do things for themselves and need to be encouraged into places and people need to get out of the way for them and stuff. And that was just not how I saw people, including women who are people, and how I saw myself. And the fact that we've got these things now where the gaming industry and the gaming community, if you enjoy games and you enjoy doing things like programming or making creative things or whatever, is full of great people that have fun with you, that are really smart or really interesting and stuff. And yet there are women and there are young girls and stuff that are hearing this stuff about like, oh, I was once at a convention and I was mistaken for a marketer. How could they do that? I'm a programmer or something. It's like, you're sitting here saying this without any context or anything like that, and making young girls afraid to get into this thing, making them think that this is misogynistic or that they're going to be in trouble if they're in this community. And it ticks me off that it's putting so much anxiety into women and possibly turning them away from a really interesting career and a really interesting pastime.
what I found really interesting was that I think it was the TAM, the amazing meeting in the atheist skeptic community. They had gotten to the point where they had about 40% of the attendees were women, and 50%, just under 50% of the speakers were women. And then feminists infiltrated and started saying how it was unsafe, it was a dangerous atmosphere for women, there was rampant harassment and rampant this, rampant that. There was a very, very small number of very loud voices that were shouting all of this, right? But then all of a sudden the next year, TAM, the amazing meeting, is wondering why are no female speakers willing to, come and speak at our event, right? And it's not because of what the environment is, it's about what the environment has been portrayed to be by a small number of extremely vocal extremists.
Yeah, and you understand this when you realize that feminism wants women to be victims, because that's how it gets its power. It doesn't want women to feel confident in their environments. It doesn't want women to achieve, because the more women who feel confident, the more women who achieve, the less feminism has relevancy.
Yeah.
When you do something you love, it doesn't matter what people. When you do something you love, it doesn't matter what people tell you can or can't do. It actually makes it more thrilling when they tell you can't do something, and then you go ahead and do it anyways.
Yeah.
The more people tell me that I can't do something, the more I want to fucking do it. Yeah, so I think that it's actually encouraging to women to get into, game development and stuff. And ultimately, what you do has to be the thing that you love to do, and it doesn't matter what anybody tells you if you're doing what you love.
Yeah,
and I do wish that even women in the industry were more willing to give that message instead of kind of falling into their old habits, because it's mainstream, it's typical or whatever to say, like, remember the time that you've happened to be pointed out because you were a girl or something. And if that's the only way that you talk, and it's just like, you got here, it's not this bad. Why are you contributing to this like culture of fear and stuff? It's like, stop. You it's very frustrating.
Culture of victimhood.
Yes, it's retarded. It's like me remembering that one time at Home Depot when my boyfriend and I walked into the store looking for drywall stuff, and the Home Depot expert, right, talked to him first. Oh my God, he talked to him first oh my God, because that's typically the guy is typically the one who is going to do the drywalling, right? And then he's like, I don't fucking know. It's her project. And then the guy talked to me, and I showed that I knew what I was talking about, and he's all like, oh, yeah, here. Like,
Yep, 2 seconds later, it was nothing.
Yeah. I'm like, what? Who would get offended by that? Of course. Most men, most of the time when somebody is going to freaking be hanging drywall, it's going to be the guy.
It doesn't have anything to do with you. It has to do with that person's just statistical relationships in their head.
Yeah, it just has to do with, like, okay, so the last 100 times, 95 of them, it was the guy.
Yeah. And the more, Sarkeesian's connected, project here of showing how women are bullied online and stuff like that, the more people, say, oh, be afraid because you're a chick and you're online and you could get bullied, the more I'm just like, bring it on. It's awesome.
Yeah, it gives an opportunity to...
Of course, you'll say bring it on, and you probably won't run into that much at all.
To show that.
I think it's...
Yeah, to show that women aren't these, like, silly little faint creatures who fall down at the first sign of rape.
Well, but the survey done in Sweden, right, not too long ago, it actually demonstrated that men are more often on the receiving end of bullying, abusive, threatening, and freaking actual threats than women.
Yeah, and so it really, like...
They just don't talk about it. They don't complain about it.
If you look at the...
It's not surprising that men are more often subject to that because people feel more comfortable threatening a man than they do threatening a woman. They don't feel as much like a bully when they bully a man as when they bully a woman.
They don't. They feel more comfortable physically injuring a man than they do a woman. They feel more comfortable killing a man than they do a woman. Why do you think all of the men in the video games, all of the people, the disposable bodies that you kill in video games are male?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they never factor that in their analysis. But we're going to have to move on. Is there anything else that you wanted to add to this, Sarah?
I could talk about this forever, so I'll stop now. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a huge topic.
And keep doing what you do and do it well.
Oh, definitely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. And thank you again for calling. Feel free to call in whenever you have interest in the topic. We're going to move to Jordan Owen.
Hello.
42.
Hey.
Jordan Owen, 42. Are you there?
Yes, I am. How are you?
Hi.
Hey.
So what
Hi.
okay.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to follow up on. First, I have two things. One, I wanted to follow up on something that a caller earlier said about Anita having this kind of whitewash with the media where they only present her side of the story. I am actually running a petition on the petitionsite.com called Acknowledge and Present Legitimate Criticism of Anita Sarkeesian. So that is out there, and I wanted to get that out there because I wanted to collect, signatures for that and hopefully make some noise.
Say again what? Say your petition again.
Oh,
that's at the petition. Where is it?
Thepetitionsite.com is the website, the petition site. And the title of it, if you go in there and search, is Acknowledge and Present Legitimate Criticism of Anita Sarkeesian. So, I want to get as many signatures as possible because her people, her drones have been writing about this, saying, oh, this is bullshit, this is bullshit, she'll never accomplish anything, blah, blah, you'll never do anything with this, blah, blah, blah. So they are taking notice. And then the topic I wanted to bring up is something I wanted to pitch to you all, get your ideas on it, was, is what I call the Anita Sarkeesian effect, where I was talking about, thinking about, Margaret Atwood is one of my favorite writers, and if you ask me for other amazing female science fiction writers, I could, without hesitation, say Ursula K. Le Guin, Octavia Butler, Kate Wilhelm, Connie Willis, the list goes on. And what's funny is I feel like now, dealing with Anita Sarkeesian, and especially as someone who's a vocal opponent of Anita, I feel like when I say things like that, I'm not saying these are my favorite authors or these are authors that I like and recommend. I feel more like I'm trying to score points, like I'm trying to score political correctness points. Like if I say I like enough female authors or I like enough female this or that, I will be considered okay. They'll never consider me okay, but in general practice, it's like it goes from genuinely appreciating someone's work to looking at it through the lens of gaining the approval of this special interest group. And I wanted to see what y'all thought about that, if y'all got that same kind of feeling, if you'd encountered that vibe at all.
All I can think is I think Margaret Atwood is practically unreadable. I hate Margaret Atwood. I really do, and I'm Canadian.
Maybe it's just the fact that we have to read her in 12th grade, so it's
Yeah, that's probably part of it.
Except for Della.
I'm sorry, say again?
I was never forced to read Atwood. I was never forced to read, who's the one who just won the Nobel for Literature?
Oh, yeah, I can't think of her name right now, but that's fucking bullshit because Haruki Murakami should get the fucking Nobel Prize. He's one of my favorite writers. He deserves it. I'm sorry, but yeah. But actually, I would hasten to add on that subject. If you have not read,
all of my favorite authors, every single one of my authors are men. That's the weird.
Finish thought, Jordan.
Oh, I was starting to say that I think it's a connection on my end. Y'all are like chopping up big time. I was going to say though, in defense of Atwood, if you haven't read Orcs and Craig, that's the one I would judge your opinion of her on, just because it's not a feminist thing. It's very non-dimensional in terms of gender. It's more character driven. So I would hasten to add that just for everybody's edification. But I wanted to mainly see what you thought about that idea that we go from genuinely appreciating people's art and genuinely appreciating their output to kind of feeling like we're just trying to score political correctness points. And it was very profound to me when I watched a long play of Gone Home, this game that Anita supposedly loves because it's got a lesbian high school girl in it, so she just absolutely loves it. And I was watching it and thinking, this game is absolute crap. I mean, this is one of the stupidest games I've ever seen. And the problem is, because of the Sarkeesian effect, if I say that, I'm not just saying this game is bad. I'm saying that, women in games are bad, and women gamers and game developers and all of that,
Yeah, definitely. That definitely an effect that this will have when you start to bring attention to women's gender. You start to get all of these questions about, do you like things because it's a woman? Do you dislike it because it was a woman who did it? That's unfortunate if you're a person who believes that people should be judged based on merit.
It's really,
and I'll let.
It's the difference between.
Go ahead, Karen.
I'm a gamer, or I'm a girl gamer.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
It really is. Like, if you have the ability, if you have, like, you're who you are, and I think that, I actually think that it's entirely possible that that women who wrote novels ages ago who chose male pen names, right? They chose them not necessarily because they wanted to be published and they wanted to be respected, but because they didn't want to have people fawn over them because they were women who could write a novel.
Right. Yeah.
They didn't, oh my goodness, you're a woman and you wrote a novel, how wonderful, right?
Yeah.
They just wanted to be treated like every other novelist, like 2 initials and a last name. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all I am.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what I always tell people, and it plays into what we're talking about is, I say, do you want to be successful because you're a woman or regardless of what your gender is? And to me, the latter is the more noble achievement. So.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, thanks for those thoughts. Very insightful. We're going to move on now to the next caller. Thank you again, Jordan. Please come on whenever you feel the urge to talk to us in the future.
Thank you very much.
Jared, are you on? Jared?
Yes, I should be. I think
there,
I'm
Jared?
still here. Yeah. Okay.
That's great.
First of all, I want to just take the time to say thank you to all of you and your work. It is amazing that like a year ago I was drinking this bullshit Kool-Aid, and it's like having your eyes open for the first time and seeing the reality of everything. So I've been playing games for a very long time, 24 years now, and I have had a really big grudge against Anita ever since you brought this shit up. And it's just because of, kind of spinning in the face of people she doesn't understand. And with regards to the bullying and with all the harassment, air quotes, that she's been getting, it takes me back to, when I started playing games online competitively, and people would talk shit to me, and they would say, oh, the worst stuff, just because I was winning a game.
Yep.
And it's not anything because it wasn't because I was a guy. It wasn't because my friends were girls that they were getting shit talked. It was just because we were playing the game and we were winning, and that was just the way things were. And whenever I was looking for teammates, there was never any sexism that was behind anything. It was always about who is going to help me win more, and that's the person I want on my team. And to this day, one of the best friends that I have across state, I have because I said, that person is really good at playing this particular role in this game. I want her on my team. But at the time, I didn't know it was a her, and then we formed a great friendship because of it. And the thing that got me thinking about it is, like, the real reason I wanted to call in is because I was thinking about this, and I only saw maybe one or two people really mention this. And Jordan, actually, a big shout-out to you. I'm a big fan of yours, but you weren't one that mentioned this. I do want to just bring up a point. All the money that she raised, you know, how much of that, you know, people have been talking about Kickstarter, how much of that money could have been used to actually make a game, to actually advance the ideology she wants to advance? But instead of using that money to actually do something, she just used the money to gripe and complain and get other people to do it for her. You know, why don't you actually take the agency that you talk about so much and actually do it instead of getting everyone else to fix it for you? And no, she didn't want to do that. She didn't want to do that. She just wants to complain about everybody else and complain with this hypocritical attitude, like where she endorses this thing about killing Randy Pitchford, and then everyone threw a fit because there was a game where you could punch her in the face. Okay, so it's okay to endorse a fiction where you kill someone, but if you assault her because she's a woman, that's not okay. Yeah.
No, it's basically the equivalent of my women's studies degree qualifies me to complain about why there aren't more women in engineering. Right? That's really what it is. Like, I chose to go into women's studies. Now I'm going to complain why there aren't more women.
Exactly. And I mean, you guys have touched on a lot of the stuff that I wanted to mention. I'm really grateful that you did. One being that, you know, the violence against men, and you know how crazy it is that you're going into games literally mowing down men by the tens of thousands in some cases. And, you know, she doesn't have any issue with that. It's with the one female character dying to motivate the story. Yeah.
You know, and as far as subversive, you know, when I was writing erotica, I had tons of even feminist reviewers saying, this female character is so subversive. She just, like, really, really subverts the gender binary, and, like, she really challenges gender roles and blah, 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 right? And they, you know, and I'm a non-feminist. I'm an anti-feminist. I was at that time, too. And they are like, wow, this sounds really great in fiction, right?
But in real life.
But in real life, it would suck. It would.
Yeah, and this is what's really interesting about this entire dynamic. Because the same dynamic that underlies what Anita Sarkeesian is doing, which is going into a already established culture group and setting up her little belonging and saying, you belong, you don't belong, you can't do this, you can do this, you know, that kind of attitude, that kind of idea that she's the one who judges the actions and belonging of other people, is exactly what's underlying the concept of the damsel in distress. Because if you think of the character type, the damsel in distress, she determines who the villain is, she determines who the hero is, she determines what's villainous behavior, what's heroic behavior. She determines almost every other character identity in the story.
And if you look at some of the those are fantastic points. If you look at some of the, like her Bible that she made when she was in college, where she was talking about positive male traits and negative male traits and positive female traits and negative female traits, not only does she contradict herself on several points, but she actually lists significantly fewer traits for women that she even considers positive. So it's like she doesn't even actually know what she doesn't like or why she doesn't like it, but she doesn't. She doesn't, and you need to believe her that she's right when she says she's wrong.
Yeah. You know, and honestly, what Allison was just getting at, I mean, if you look at, there was a YouTube video, I can't remember what it's called, but it was basically a live action, you know, Zelda and Princess Peach sitting in a coffee shop talking about their relationship problems and how Ganondorf is really, you know, he really lets me be who I am, and sometimes I actually let myself be captured. Right, because I just get so bored with Link, right? And Peach is like, really? He lets you have alone time? Like he lets you, you know? And she looks over at the bar, and there's Bowser sitting there with a Mario mustache, you know, in disguise, right? Yeah. And it's just perfect because the female characters do they do decide who is the hero, who is the villain, right?
Mm-hmm.
The hero could be Ganondorf. The hero could be Link. It all depends on her whim.
Yeah, it all depends on her benefit.
On who she wants to be with.
Or who...
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I'll go ahead and let you guys get to the next caller. I know you guys have a lot. Again, just wanted to thank you and just remind everyone all the money that she's been sitting on doing nothing with that big pile of games that she had before she got the money, and all the systems that she had for the video before she got the money. She could have used it all to make a game that actually advanced to what she wanted instead of just trying to get everyone else to do it for her lazy ass.
Yeah.
See, then she'd have to know what she was doing and have some actual talent.
I can link you to some information on a video game that's similar to what I think she would create. That Ramsey Hall profiled in one of his videos ages ago.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you know what? We are almost out of time. So thank you, Jared, for coming on and giving us a lot
Absolutely.
to think about.
And thank you all very much again for having me on, for everything that you do. I really appreciate it personally.
Yeah, and we appreciate you coming on and saying what you need to say and what needs to be said, I think. So we are at the end of the show, and I have to apologize to all of the callers that we didn't get. We got a flood of callers. I think we got double or triple the callers we normally get.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we should do this topic for a second show.
Maybe we should.
We should do Anita
before
Girl Gamer another time next week.
Hey guys, before we sign off, just wanted to congratulate you on over 1,000 live listeners.
What did you say? Is that over 9,000?
Over 9,000.
It's been quite a night. Definitely people have come out for drugs.
Over 1,000.
Over 1,000. Okay, well, it is the end of the night. We are basically over. The show is over. I want to thank my co-hosts as always, and James Huff for helping us out with working on the radio end, and Karen and Della and Diana and you, our listeners, and everyone who called in to tell us about Anita and what their experiences have been in the gaming community after the wave of girl gamers have come in. And thanks. There's nothing left to say but good night. Please join us next week for another edition of Honey Badger Radio. Oh wait, Della has something left to say.
She does.
Oh yes. For those who know what I'm talking about, don't forget, Friend Computer sees all. And by the way, I love Friend Computer more than you do.
All right.
This is Honey Badger Radio, reminding you to take the red pill.